Top up your sugar level now on BBC Scotland with a fine blend of nostalgia and comedy. In fact, as we speak, the final preparations are underway for Dorothy, stage by stage.
Is this your wee concert starting now, is it? Who's here playing for the night?
Dorothy Paul.
Oh, no, her again. Oh. I see your coiffer's no grown any, eh? What style would you call that, then?
I really don't know.
How about early Halloween? I'm only kidding. Is this bloody thing again? Hello, heat cleaner? Aye, I'll be there in a minute. Tell him I'll be there in a minute. I'll have to go hen. That's me, I've got an interfacial financial confrontation with the Provi man. I'll put on the good hairnet for that. Here, listen, come here. Here's one for your pals. You can tell your pals this one. Right. If the tax man, the VAT man, and the rent man, if they all fell out a multi-storey window, which one of them would land on the ground first?
Don't know.
You don't know, eh? Bet you don't know either, eh? Who bloody cares? Look at that.
If there's a wrong way to say it, a wrong way to play it, nobody does it like me. If there's a wrong way to do it, a right way to screw it up, nobody does it like me.
Oh my God. Have you ever been lying in your bed at night and you're just on the point of sleep when you remember something you've said during the day and you think, oh no, I wish I hadn't said that. Oh, it was so embarrassing. You know the kind of thing? Well, this happened to me last week. I was walking along Byers Road, you see, and this fella came up to me. He said, hello, Dorothy. I said, oh, hello, John. I'd met him at a function, you know. One of the many sophisticated West End parties that I frequently attend, you know. He said, no, he says, my name's not John. It's Willie. Oh, I says, I'm very sorry, you know. And we blethered for a couple of minutes, and I said, well, I better go now. He says, don't forget my name. I said, don't you worry. Next time I see you, I'll know you're Willie.
I've got a big, loud mouth. I'm always talking much too free. If you look for tact and manners, better stay away from me. If there's a wrong way to keep it cool, a right way to play the fool, nobody does it like.
Now, I'll say one thing for myself. I can't say much. Do you know that I have never taken my clothes off on the stage? It's not for the want of asking. I've pleaded with them. But you know, I've never taken my clothes off on the television. Oh. Do you know, I wish I hadn't told you that now, Hilary. Now I'll have to go and tell everyone. Oh, I'll tell you what it was. You see, I was playing this, in this play, I was playing this very perjink secretary, you see, Miss Ferguson. And the managing director had asked me, you know, to do some overtime. And I said, oh no, I can't possibly. I must get home to Mama. She's ailing and has been this many a year. Well, I acted it better at the time. Anyway, that was end of scene. And on to the next scene. So Miss Ferguson, she goes home and she takes off her glasses, she takes off her coat, she takes off her dress. That was all. She goes into the bedroom and it's not her Mama at all. This big hairy hand comes out the bed and grabs her and they go into a big clinch. Went on for ages, so it did. Right up to the commercial break. Now, 2 years later, I'm doing a summer season in Largs. You know the kind of thing. Twice nightly, twice brightly, all that, you know. It's kind of old-fashioned now, but at the time, you know. Anyway, the children were small. One was in a pushchair. And you know, a Saturday, you're all harassed. Get in the weekend shopping. Because you get to the checkout and you get the usual business. Mummy, can I get Smarties? No, you can't. You'll not eat your tea, you know. But Mummy, now, little did I know that in the next checkout, filling his bags, was this actor that I'd done the play with. The big hairy hand merchant, you know. So my daughter shouts, but Mummy, and then in the biggest, loudest voice, in the middle of this crowded supermarket, my daughter says, but Mummy, there's that man you were in bed with. Everybody looked round. Dorothy, Paul, soprano, used to be the 1 o'clock gang, no. And I mean, you can't stand up in the checkout and say, look, the child doesn't know what she's talking about. She's only 9, for God's sake. This is Oshugly. We are not talking reality. We are talking Scottish television. Nobody does it. Nobody does it. Nobody does it like me.
Oh, please, I release me. Let me go. Here we are.
Quite like this wee job, you know. In among all the plants and that, quite nice. That's your arty-farty Fafnurlia, that one. Yeah, that's the going. Dorothy, Paul. Hello, Dorothy. You've been a bit a while now, eh? And what is it you're doing the new? Resting, is it resting? Yes. That's what they call it in their profession, you know. She should have quit while she was behind. Oh, I've seen them all. They all come here. The actors, the broken down sopranos, the comic singers. Aye, they forget their old arse and they get a new one. You don't have to go far in Glasgow to be humiliated. Some of them could cut the feet for you. I was in Habitat the other day. Yes, well, I like Habitat because I've got a modern house and the furniture kind of suits it, you know? So I was admiring this molten sofa. I saw the price, I thought, I'll stick to the old molten one, I've got it. So I was watching this fellow, and he was throwing cushions at a wall hanging with gay abandon. You know the way you do. He said, no. That colour is far too hot for the futon, and it would clash like fury with a booty rattan armchair in the conservatory. Of course, this is all your fault, Hector. Who was it that chose the futon? It certainly wasn't moi. Oh, Hector, look who it is. It's Dorothy, Paul. Oh, Dorothy, you know, you're common as muck, but we'll love you. That's what he says. Mind you, I suppose a wee bit of humiliation never did anybody any harm. I mean, if you had a working class upbringing like me in Glasgow, you'd be used to it. Middle class folk psychology is all about praise. What, darling? Oh, you're top of the class? Oh, my, what a clever girl. Mummy's so proud of you. Daddy'll be proud of you, too. Where I was brought up, it was, you're the top of the class. We'll see how long you stay there. I love this area of Glasgow. I walk round here often. I used to walk round here with my father when I was a wee girl. I suppose you might call this the cultural hub of Glasgow. There's the university clock there. And oh, that's the famous Glasgow Art Gallery and Museum. Very, very famous. I mean, in there, it houses all the marvellous paintings like Turner's, the colourists, the Impressionists. Oh, another painting we used to have in there was a very famous painting by Dali. The Christ of St. John of the Cross. You know that one? You know the one looking down like that? You've seen that one, you know? But unfortunately, there was a councillor in Glasgow, a man called Pat Lally. Pat Lally. He decided it would be better off in another gallery. You know? So I suppose you could say that Lally stole where Dally. There used to be a wee newspaper seller in Glasgow. Well, actually, it wasn't a wee man, a big man, big rosy face. And he always had a big pile of Evening Citizens under his arms. He'd go around the streets plying his trade. Now, if the newspapers weren't selling well, he'd make up the headlines. So you'd get, Earthquake Maryhill, thousands buried. There you go, Hen, there you go, that's right. Tidal wave hits Govan, hundreds marooned. Here we go, sir, here we go. Shock sensation. The Archbishop of Canterbury defrocked. They took the frock right off him. Aye. There we go, there we go. Oh, and another one was, spaceship from Mars, sighted over Bridge and Cross. It disappeared when Big Tampy the fire brigade shouted, UFO. There we go, sir, there we go. Oh, and there was another wee newspaper seller. He was a wee man, wee Bachler man, you know. And he had a big pile of Evening Citizen under his arms, and you'd see him down Royal Exchange Square, hail, rain or shine. And he'd stand there and he'd shout, here he goes up, right, that's it. Right, there you go, that's it. And I was always dying to know what he was shouting. So no, one night I asked him, he wouldn't tell me. Wouldn't let dab. But a friend of mine met him in a pub, and he worked him a couple of wee goldies, you know? And he prized the secret out of him. Do you know what he was shouting? Bullshit! There we go. Like that. This is the Barras. Now, you can buy anything here. This is where my father bought a painting in the 50s, an A.E. Walton. That's true, an A.E. Walton. And he bought it for 2 threepence. He took it home. My mother didn't like it. So he sold it to somebody for £0.50, and that person sold it years later for thousands. He bought a 1-string Japanese fiddle here at the Barras. He took it home. My mother said, that looks awful stupid, that. You know, when he played it at the family parties. So he kept the string. He threw away the rest of it, and he built a box up here. It kind of looked like it slightly resembled a guitar. He put the 1 string on it, and he was able to play a tune in it. Another time, he came home from the Barras and said to my mother, what would you say to a cylindrical record player? Well, after my mother said, hello, cylindrical record player, she said, in the midden where? Because my mother had a season ticket to the midden, you know. Now, here at the Barras, you can buy books, old tools, bits of machinery, art deco, a wee curtain for the window, a big carpet for the room, a wee carpet for the bathroom, a 3-piece suite, uncut moquette, a runner for the sideboard that some wee woman embroidered 40 years ago. In fact, you can furnish, carpet and curtain your entire house. You can drape yourself in furs and fabulous jewels, all at the Barras. I mean, I've been coming here for years, and just like my father, I always go home with loads of stuff. And it was a wee woman called Maggie McIver who created the Barras around the beginning of this century. She was the daughter of a policeman and a French polisher. And when she was a teenager, someone at Bridge and Cross said to her, would you look after my Barra hen? She says, aye. So instead of just minding it, she started selling the stuff that was on it. Then she got her own Barra, and she sold fish every morning. In the afternoon, she would sell fruit. And in the evening, she would go round the cinema queues selling oranges. She ended up with a husband, 2 sons, and 4 daughters. And in 1921, they owned all the stalls, and they hired them out. She and her family built the Barland Ballroom. And she died a millionairess in 1958. You always get a laugh at the Barras. I heard a woman round here, she's saying to the stall holder, how much is it for that playpen for the Wayne? Give it for a £5. You know, get a weird one. I'll give you a birdcage for £1. That's quite nice. A pair. What? A pair. A pair. A pear. A pear, aye. Chinese. Wee chip out that one there. Well, what do you expect? They're 100 years old. That's your, what do you call it again? Minging dysentery. How much are they? Call them 45 quid. Must think my heat button's up the back, eh? All right, give us a £5, they're yours. All right, I'll take them. Do you want them gift wrapped? Aye, that'd be quite nice, certainly. Right. You'll not see many of them, I'm telling you. You got the other two there?
When it came to nutrition, my mother was the original conservationist. Now, one night she was going out and she left my sister in charge of making the tea. But of course, before she went, she had to give her all her orders. Come here. The potatoes are in the hall stand. If you look in the shop on top of my wardrobe, there's a £0.5 of mince. Where's the sugar? It's in a shoebox under my bed. Don't tell your father, he'll only make tablet again. Where's the tea? It's the press above the bunker and the portmanteau where I keep the insurance policies. Now there's the key. Take out 2 teaspoonfuls and lock it up again. Don't tell your father. I'll be back before 10 o'clock in case there's an air raid. I'm away up to see Auntie Chrissy. She's having a wee bit bother with her cousin Jeanette. She's wanting to get married to one of these fellas off the boats. I mean, you know, she met him at a church social. That minister down there, he opens his doors to all the scruff of the day. I mean, he's a nice enough fella for a foreigner. But as I always say, if you don't know where he comes from, you don't know who he's off of. Is he an officer? Not at all, he's a chanty razzler. Says he comes from Canada, but he talks French. Something funny there, eh? I am saying nothing, but I am thinking plenty. Now, me and Lizzie were away up to Auntie Chrissy's, and he's going to be there with some stuff that he's capockled off the boat, you see. So I'll take Chrissy a wee tin of condensed milk, and if the chanty razzler comes up with a wee parcel, I might end up with a tin of salmon for the new year if your father doesn't get his horns on it first. Could you remember the business of the pineapple chunks? No, what was that? You do remember. Remember, we went to the pictures, and old Chamberlain says, I am holding a piece of paper in my hand. And he told us there wasn't going to be a war. Your father knew there was going to be a war. What did he do? He ran down the Gallowgate and bought 24 tins of pineapple chunks. Oh, aye. I remember that. Aye. You may also recall he had them all eaten before Hitler invaded Poland. My mother and Auntie Chrissy came back. No, she wasn't with Auntie Chrissy, she was with Auntie Lizzie. She'd just been to Auntie Chrissy's house. No, my mother and Auntie Lizzie came back with Auntie Chrissy's up to the gunnels.
and black market goodies. They come back in the tram car. That was a lovely spread, Chrissy Pittu. Boo. Oh, it was lovely, that. And what was she talking about? He's a lovely fella, that Chanty Razzler. God, the amount of stuff he managed to cram into that holdall, it's a wonder he wasn't in school. Eh? Did you see the sizes? Tins of fruit. Did you get the 2 tin of salmon? Aye, so did I. Chris had that much stuff, I never bothered getting the condensed milk. Have you paid the fare? No. I think she's upstairs in Newcombe. We'll just get half it. Let's go. The River Clyde. Because this is all that's left of the shipbuilding industry. They call us a service industry nowadays. That's a euphemism for folk being out of work. It was round about here, the shipyards here, that my father worked during the war. And you know, the electricians, they always had the apprentice. So him and the boy, they were sitting having their lunch, you know, their pieces, their sandwiches. And the boy said, "Oh no, I forgot my pieces." My father says, "If you forgot your pieces, that is terrible. Where did you leave them?" "I left them in the mantelpiece in the kitchen." "Oh," he says, "oh, I'm sorry to hear that, son." He says, "Look at that." He says, "I'm sitting here with 6 big pieces, salmon pieces. The wife gave me them. You know, she'd got this tin of salmon for some Chanty Razzler she'd up in the house, you know." He says, "You forgot your pieces? You must be starving." "Oh," he says, I'm starving, so am." He says, "Have you got a knife there, son?" He says, "Aye. Here's a knife." He says, "There you are." He says, "What's that?" My father says, "That's a bit of string." "And what do I want that for?" He says, "You tie that round your finger, son. You'll no forget your pieces in the morning." Look at all that writing in the wall. We would have got into a row for that. 2 Whitehill Street, where I was brought up. Yes, Denniston. Denniston was an area known as Peas, Bros, Poverty and Pianos. We were the sort of the lower end of Whitehill Street, you see. The further you went up the hill, the posher you were. This was the garden area, the back court to the house where we used to live, you know. But we always called flats houses. Do you know, the children in those days, they must have had quite a good immune system. Because you'd shout up to your "Mammy, throw us down a piece." That was 2 slices of bread and jam wrapped in a paper bag. We called it a paper poke. Paper poke. Now, as your mother projected the missile out of the window, that's when the second law of aerodynamics came into play. So if I know anything about aerodynamics, doesn't matter. And on its way down, the piece would part company from the paper poke. The piece falling straight to the ground and the paper poke making a more gradual descent and perhaps landing on the air raid shelter roof. Because when you went to retrieve the piece, it was coated in a kind of backcourt clabber. Mind you, nowadays they sell it in packets, they call it high fibre. No, you don't. No, you don't. You're not playing at no Dreepen Dykes. You'll end up in the Royal Infirmary. And if you break your leg, don't you come running to me. Oh, hello, Mrs. Morrow. Out shaking her duster. It's all a show. Oh, I think we've seen the best of the day, yes. I managed to get my wash and dry, but I still had a wee sapling in the basin, so I just signed through my brizz at the window, give it a wee freshen, you know. Is your sister away now? Where? Oh, Chicago. Oh, Chicago. Married Hank the Yank last week. It was a hefty. Oh my, look at my lassie down there, she's covered in clabber. Is that another wee washing you've got? 6 pair of glass nylons, black market. I got that woman's eye in the way of something. If there's anything gone, she's up at 6 o'clock in the morning. If a parachute landed in that back court in the middle of the night, she'd have 3 frocks made out of it by 8 o'clock. There was a general election in 1948. We all got the day off school. It was a lovely, hot summer's day. And I was playing with my wee pal. She lived up the drives. She was quite kind of posh, you know. And she said to me, "Would you like to come and hand out leaflets with me?" That'd be very nice. It's up at Cumlacky headquarters, and if you hand out the leaflets, you get a sausage roll and a cup of tea. Oh, that'd be very nice. So we went up to Finlay Drive, you see, and we were handing out the leaflets. Some people took them and, you know, some people just ignored them. We got our nice wee sausage roll and a cup of tea. At around about lunchtime, my mother was out looking for me, and she found me outside the Camlachi Hall. "What are you doing?" "I'm handing out leaflets." "For them?" My mother grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and she marched me along the road. "I'll give you Conservatives. Keir Hardy had his tea in your granny's house. Your granny made him a plate of ham and haddy. Aye, I'll give you sausage rolls and a cup of tea. Sausage rolls and a cup of tea will end up with another general strike, another depression. We'll all end up in the grubber." Keir Hardy was a legend in his lifetime, a man of the people, a pioneer of the labour movement. Aye, Andrew Carnegie offered him money, but he never took it. He wasn't going to be a puppet for the capitalists. Aye, they buried him in Mary Hill crematorium. He lived and he died for the party. National Health, that's the Labour Party. Nae mair hon newt shillings for tonsillitis. See those teeth? That's the Labour Party. So I'll hand out leaflets here. My mother did a party political broadcast all along Finlay Drive, down Armadale Street, along Rosalie Drive, into Whitehill Street. And without a megaphone, when she arrived at the close, she thought, "Hope nobody heard me." Everybody heard her. She couldn't put her face out the house for a fortnight. In 1951, there was another election, and this time the Tories get in. My mother was heartbroken. That was her, handing out their leaflets. I used to wash these stairs for my mother. She used to give me 2 shillings. And then I got a wee bit famous. I was still in the house, you know. And I said to my mother, "Now that I'm famous, do I still have to wash the stairs?" She says, "Aye, but you'll no need the 2 shillings now."
And Dorothy returns to BBC Scotland on 1 on Monday evening at 10:10.
Rates. They can get the local